said that the world produces enough food to feed everyone. And we see food aid programs all over the place. Why don't the people who need it get it? Whose fault is hunger?
I think one of the great challenges for the hunger issue area is that there is no clear understanding of who is ultimately obliged and who is ultimately responsible for providing for the roughly billion people in the world who are hungry. And so you have this interesting and puzzling issue area where it is not a technical problem. You have enough food in the world produces more than enough in terms of agricultural supply than we need. But people who need the food often can't afford to buy it. So you have this puzzling relationship where you have a solution to a problem, but the inability to solve the problem in part because there isn't a clear understanding among society of who should step in and help to fill the void if people are unable to feed themselves. So if we think about issues that do get attention in politics, so if we talk about, say, certain other public health problems like AIDS, these are conditions which can move out of the lower class, and in that way they can attract attention from elites. Mm-hmm. Hunger doesn't have that. It's not fair to say that's a benefit, but hunger does not have that characteristic, for which reason it is very easy if you are an elite in any capacity, not to see or think about hunger as a problem. And so it gets sidelined.
And even you mentioned earlier that there's some discussion in the among Republicans about food stamps having a time limit.
Right. And so, and I think also this goes to again, this basic point, which is we have not as a society decided who is responsible for ensuring that a person who cannot afford to feed themselves and their families has enough to eat? Because we can't answer that question, whether it's churches or it's states or it's, well, the individual just has to work harder, or it's whoever it is, the private sector. It means that we have these debates in part within one of our political parties about how very well, if the state must get involved, they'll be involved in a very temporary way. So 2 years is what some in the Republican Party have been proposing as a time limit for food stamps. But again, run in your mind this thought experiment. Well, what would happen if we said the same thing about education? So you could receive public school, you can go to public school from 2nd to 4th grade, but by then, doggone it, if you can't afford to have a private tutor, then that's it, right? No more education for you. I mean, that would be an absurd way to look at it. And the reason that's absurd is because we understand educating children as a fundamentally important public good. We believe that the benefits that come from educating that child are worth it to society to foot the bill. But yet, ironically, we don't hold that same logic with feeding that same child or that adult, which it often is challenging, I think, for me to wrap my mind around, but is true.